Have you ever felt completely stuck in a relationship pattern you just can't seem to break? Well, today we're going to dive into a really powerful story about one woman's 9-year cycle and how she finally found the key to closing that door for good.
You know this one, right? It's this thing that so many of us have experienced. You finally start focusing on yourself. You finally let go of needing something from someone, and then, almost like clockwork, they pop back up. It's incredibly frustrating. So, these are the big questions we're going to tackle. We're going to break down not just why this dynamic happens, but the actual practical steps this woman took to finally reclaim her power. Okay, so let's set the stage. The person at the center of this story is a woman who's been trapped for 9 years, in this endless loop of breaking up with her ex only to get back together, over and over and over again. And really, she says it perfectly herself. In those times when they're apart, she makes all this incredible progress. She feels strong, good things start happening for her, she's really standing in her own power, and then, just as she's hitting her stride, he comes back into the picture and pulls her right back into the old cycle.
So let's talk about what's going on here energetically. When she stops, projecting all that needy, expectant energy at him and instead puts all that focus back on herself, her own energy it changes. It becomes kind of magnetic. And paradoxically, that is often the very thing that makes the other person feel that pull to come back. It becomes a real test of her resolve. So we get the energetic what is happening. But to really truly break a cycle like this, you have to understand the psychological why. Why was it so hard for her to just say no and actually stick to it? Well, the answer was a lot deeper than it seemed. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? She knows the pattern is unhealthy. She knows she's doing great when she's on her own, so why is it so incredibly difficult to hold that final boundary when he shows up again? And the big breakthrough was this. It was never really about him. It was about a core belief she had that her own success was somehow tied to his. There was this deep, deep need for his validation, which all stemmed from an old inner child wound. Every single time she said yes to him, when her whole body was screaming no, she was just repeating a lifelong pattern of abandoning herself to get approval from someone else. So this brings us to the real linchpin of the whole thing, this belief that setting boundaries is just hard. In order to break the cycle, that core belief itself had to be taken apart, piece by piece. You can almost feel her exhaustion here, right? She talks about it like it's a problem of stamina. Like she's trying to build up this spiritual muscle, but it just gets so tired from constantly having to say no that eventually she just gives in. She basically sees it as a battle she's always going to lose. Now, to challenge this belief, they used a really simple but incredibly powerful framework. It's just 4 questions you ask about any stressful thought. First, is it true? Second, can you absolutely know that it's true? Third, how do you react when you believe that thought? And the big one, number 4, who would you be without it? And this is where things get really interesting. When she was asked if it was absolutely true that setting boundaries was hard, she had this realization. It wasn't. She could easily set what she called low-risk boundaries, like saying, I just don't want to talk about that right now, and he would respect it. The difficulty only kicked in with the high-risk boundaries, the ones where she was terrified he might leave for good. So you see, the problem wasn't the boundary itself, it was the risk she attached to it. And that one little crack in her belief system, it blows the whole door open for the most important reframe of this whole journey. It's all about changing the entire meaning of the word no. This led to a super powerful metaphor that changed everything for her. Just imagine 2 doors. One door leads back to that same old unhealthy dynamic with him. The other door, that one leads to herself, to the version of her that's strong and healthy and thriving on her own. And here's the thing. Every time she opens the door to him, she is automatically closing the door to herself. You can't have both open at the same time. So saying no to him isn't an act of losing something. It's an act of gaining everything. It's saying a huge yes to having a calm, regulated nervous system. It's saying yes to finally honoring that part of herself she had abandoned for so long. And it's saying yes to making space in her life for new people and new opportunities that are actually a match for the person she's becoming. Okay, so once she was armed with this incredibly powerful new way of seeing things, she was ready for a fundamental shift. And this led to a massive, energetic breakthrough. This brings us right back to that 4th question, who would you be without that belief? And her answer, wow. It said everything.
Without that old, tired story, she instantly connected with feeling strong, healthy, and powerful. The shift in her energy was something you could actually feel. And from that place of empowerment, not from a place of fear or trying to be strong, but from pure self-worth, she made a clear, final declaration. No hesitation. I'm closing our connection. It was a decision, not a struggle anymore.
Now, an internal shift is one thing, but you know how the universe loves to give us a little pop quiz, right? So how would this brand new resolve actually hold up when put to a real-world test?
Well, she didn't have to wait long. The very next day, she turned her phone back on. And yup, the test was waiting right there for her. And there it was. 2 missed calls and 5 messages waiting. And the very first one she saw read, "I miss us." I mean, talk about the ultimate test. It was the exact same pattern trying to pull her back in, almost immediately after she had energetically cut the cord.
So what happened? Did the old pattern win? Did she get pulled back in? Or was this time actually different?
Her response? She didn't. She didn't respond at all. No long explanation, no negotiation, no struggle. Just nothing. Silence. The cycle wasn't broken with some big, dramatic fight. It was broken with the quiet power of simply not engaging. She had finally, truly closed the door.
And this really brings the whole thing back to us, doesn't it? This whole story comes down to recognizing which doors we're keeping open in our own lives, maybe just a little crack. So the question I want to leave you with is this. What door have you been leaving open? And what amazing new things might walk in if you finally, truly decided to close it for good?